Really? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's a question or not. I guess it feels like it could be. I guess I was just considering the different aspects. Oh, bro, I'm gonna have to give up on this one. This is tragic. Yeah, I was just considering the different aspects of, I guess like the areas. Well, is it lazy though? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of influence that you can do with like telekinesis, right? Like beyond just, I guess, like superficial stuff. I will say, Bertel in here earlier was saying that he would definitely just use it to open the fridge and other kind of menial tasks like that, which I have to admit is kind of like the temptation of it. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe you could like, I mean, you could build houses and stuff. You could do a lot of stuff quickly with it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I disagree. I will say that. I won't say I disagree. Well, I mean, imagine that you could fly because of the fact that you have like telekinesis. Like you can get wherever you want to get. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like, obviously, maybe it's not quite teleportation, but it's of a similar vein. Yeah, it is moving one eye from there. That's true. That's true. I don't know. I just feel like there could be options for it to be good, but I'm not certain. Like, it is a bit more like superhero movie-esque. I will say that. Like, it definitely comes across that way. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of niche things that you can do with like telekinesis that are a bit more impressive, shall we say? Oh, I just only have one life left here. Make it. Oh, please, surely here I get it. Oh, I got it. I mean, yeah, telepathy is essentially giving you mind control. No, okay, actually, it's not, okay, I feel like at the highest level, maybe telepathy gives you mind control, but, oh, bro, this is getting one more attempt. Okay. Yeah, I can't think of a single telekinetic ability that you can use it for that's not seemingly just like hella not lazy, but kind of like there are alternative methods. But definitely, I feel like for me, definitely, personally, I would choose telepathy 100%. So even though telekinesis I think would have its uses, I feel like telepathy is much more like suited towards like what I enjoy. But yeah, I think the ability to read minds, I think is just very impressive. But more so, not even just read minds. I think it gives you the ability to like transfer information on a whole different level. Because I feel like at the moment, right, like you're not limited by the fact that communication has only certain methods of like transfer. Like there's only a certain amount of words that I can say to you, right, that can convey or express what I mean. But at the same time, maybe it kind of adds an element that I hadn't previously, like, maybe I don't have too much appreciation for. But I feel like with telepathy, you definitely get the ability to, like, express what you want to say, kind of, in what seems to be the purest form. If that makes sense. But I don't know about mind control. I feel like mind control is a whole nother level of it. Because I feel like, in order to have mind control, you kind of almost have to have mastered your own mind. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's just my thoughts anyway. But like, for telepathy, I just feel like it's the ability to connect with other minds seamlessly and like without barriers, shall we say. Like there's no filter to the mind. So when it comes to something like, I don't know, just expressing how you feel, I just feel like it'd be a lot easier with telepathy. But I mean, I guess that kind of goes without saying. But as far as mind control though, I don't know about all of that. Do you believe that with telepathy you could control someone's mind? Oh, bro. I'm gonna have to pull up Red Dead. This is ridiculous. You can create memories or feelings. Okay, in fact, you know what? Let me forget the game for now. All right. What makes you? Okay, right. You can create memories or feelings. How could you create memories or feelings with telepathy? Or do you just mean like through like being able to impression their mind, you can, I guess, convey your thoughts to them, and then those thoughts become memories and feelings? Is that what you're trying to say? Because yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And you have access to someone's brain. The thing is though, do you have access to their brain, or do you only have access to their mind? I know the two are not necessarily mutually exclusive, and obviously there's a lot of crossover between them, for sure. But, hey, how you doing? But, at the same time though, I feel like the mind does seem to have particular differences to the brain. But there's just like, I guess, certain similarities or like crossover, shall we say, like when it comes to like your rationality or other things. Hold on, all right. Let me pull it up. OpenCC for English subtitles. All right. Can you guys see this? Hold on. Oh, wait, what are we doing here? What? How come you wouldn't say so? Here we go. This is a sick beat already, by the way. Their rapping is on point. Wait, I'll respond to you in just 1 second, Cinnamon. You make a great point. This is definitely like very artistic. I will say that. I'm getting a lot of expression right here. I can tell whoever made this put a lot of thought into this video. It feels quite original. Why is it in text? This guy is real talented. This is lit. Ooh. Okay. This is really good. Hold on, I just want to respond to what Cinnabon was saying, because I feel like she's making some really great points here. All right. Okay. Wait. Let's. I want to tackle what you said firstly, because firstly, do you feel like this is an assumption, or do you feel like this would be the factual case of having telepathy? Do you feel like firstly, I definitely agree that if you have telepathy, you can both hear what the other person is thinking, but they can hear what you're thinking as well. I feel like it has to always be a two-way street. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be. I suppose there could be exceptions where maybe you just have the ability to enter someone's mind and they don't have the ability to access your mind. But I mean, that's creepy. That's possible, but that's creepy. Do you feel like just with the ability to access someone's mind and their memories, that would give you the ability to manipulate them in ways that they're not already vulnerable to? Like, would it give you more ability to manipulate them than you had previously? I suppose definitely in some cases it would appear so, because you'd have more content, right? Okay. All right, I see what you're saying. Okay. So just a person that has telepathy has the ability to influence and manipulate the other person. All right. That makes sense. I definitely couldn't disagree with that. Because obviously telepathy is like an ability here, like a psychic ability. Okay. In the sense your mind is malleable. We are who we are based off things that happen to us and emotions that we feel. Certainly, telepathy gives me the access to play with those things, making you my zombie chess piece. I like that description of it. Okay. I can definitely agree to that one as well. But I suppose, like, do you feel like the ability to manipulate someone's mind though is dependent upon your own mind mastery? Do you feel like if you just had telepathy, would you instantly be able to, like, any single person on the world, in the planet, whatever, you can instantly just access their mind and then manipulate them? Or do you feel like you have to have, like, mastery over your own mind and how the mind works before you could actually get into doing something like manipulating someone's emotions? Because I'm sure that if a person was being openly manipulated through telepathy, they'd be able to, like, feel it. It would be something that, it would be like a sensation almost. Maybe not one that's comparable to, like, feeling like it is to get felt, but definitely on the same level that like I feel like you'd be aware of the presence of someone going through your thoughts and then accessing them and then like relaying them back to you. That would be mad. Okay, you think the base would be mind reading? I'm definitely open to the base being mind reading. That's almost my favorite part as well. I feel like the mind reading is almost like, oof, another level. Am I saying it in the sense almost as if you have a second conscience? I do feel like to some degree it would be like that, because when it comes to like the way it actually would feel, right? Like, I don't know, unless I don't feel like you'd be able to access someone's mind almost like remotely in a way that they're unaware of it. I feel like it would be, I feel like, you know when you get the feeling like someone's watching you, right? Like, obviously not like right now, but like you're on the street or whatever, and you feel like you have like that innate sense that you can feel eyes on you. I feel like it would be the same thing when it comes to like telepathy. I feel like you'd be able to feel someone like in your mind and thinking your thoughts. But at the same time, how much I don't know. Firstly, that's an interesting, like, psychology right there. I don't know what that would feel like or how I'd feel firstly. Because I guess it's dependent upon whether you want someone, like, whether they're accessing thoughts that you don't want them to access. Oh, wait, pause. But can you imagine if that's what it was? Can you imagine if every time you started feeling uncomfortable about like a certain thought, like it's because someone else was thinking that about you? Like maybe in your presence or outside of your presence, right? Like someone begins thinking a thought that relates to your insecurity or something you'll think, or like a memory that you have. And so like you start to like, it starts to become like more potent in your mind. Imagine that. That'd be fucked up. Sorry, I just had to pause to say that. That's a mad thought. I'm just saying though. I'm just saying. Maybe it's a possibility. This guy's got hella good flow, by the way. If you're still watching this, Atletica. How do you pronounce your name? Atletica. Okay, yeah, Atletica. This guy's got top tier rhymes. The thing is though, would you really want that? Would you really want the ability to, at will, access someone's mind and go through everything that composes them? Because remember, everything that you learn about someone else becomes part of you, right? Like, when you see someone else's pain, that's going to become your pain. Obviously not to the same degree that they experience it. But, what would you want to know about other people? Like, what would telepathy open up for you that you don't feel like you already have access to? Would you want to use it like with strangers, or would it just be something that you'd want to use on people you know, or a combination of both? I'd also say this song is potentially better than the last one. Not gonna lie, this guy is hella sexy as well. He's definitely got some hard level swag. You would use it to be someone's perfect person. Okay, no, wait. You've got to explain this. You've got to go further on this. I have to know more about why you'd want to use it like that. That's another level of use for it. So you're telling me that you'd use it so that you could become a better person for that person? That's mad. That's a whole nother level. Wow. I never even thought about using it that way. This is a lit hook. Let me bang a like on this video. How many views does this song have? 1.2 mil. That's surprising. I feel like this should have maybe like quadruple that. This was a sick song. Yeah, 100%. This comment is this is 100% right. Respect. Thanks for dropping by these music, man. This was lit. Okay. Imagine walking up to a girl, she smiles, and without you knowing, she searched your mind, learning everything about you. And the next response you hear from you, besides hi, is something you wanted to hear your whole life. Damn. I mean, it'd be mind-blowing. Like, the ability for someone to know me as well or better than I know myself. That's a whole nother level. Like, to me, that's what I aspire to with human connection. Like, to be able to do that is perfection. I can't imagine anything more perfect than that. You'd be able to connect to me. So, wait, sorry, I read that. Let me read that how you wrote that. I'll be able to connect to you emotionally, so it wouldn't be fake. But I know exactly what you need, and within the same convo, make you fall in love. Damn, though. So, would you wanna do this for? Would you want to do it for their sake, for the person that I mean, I feel like you'd only do this to someone that you love, right? But would you do this for the sake of the person, or would you do this for yourself? Or is it like somewhere in between? Like you want to be the best that you can be for someone else, right? So kind of in the same way, like you want to complete a person, like, or you want to be complete as an individual. And so through doing that, you're able to, like you said, learn everything about someone. And in that you're able to, I guess, like have a preconceived notion of how they like would react and respond. Do you feel though, okay, as a side play to this, do you feel like if you knew everything about a person, would that take away the spontaneity of that person? Do you feel like if you knew what they were thinking, you would know what they were going to think before they thought it? And would that affect how you felt? Because I feel like the human connection is like the interplay, right? It's like the back and forth energy, like what we're doing right now. Like you're expressing and I'm responding back and forth, right? And that creates some sort of like interplay. And in the same term, powerful. You said powerful though. We do all want to be wanted though. That's a fundamental human basic necessity. I couldn't agree any more with that. Like I couldn't agree any more. So, but you think we all want to feel powerful? Do you feel like? Okay, wait. Obviously, I already asked you a question, but I'm thinking about a follow up to what you just said though, and I feel like would knowing someone so completely affect how powerful they are to you though? Like I feel like that's so unique. I don't know. I'm struggling to imagine how that might actually play out in like practically. Powerful in the sense of control over someone or something. Ooh, control over someone. That's fascinating. Do you feel like that's what you want? Do you feel like you're striving towards assuming control over other people or over one person or over a specific set of circumstances? And what does being powerful or in control over someone or something, what does that do for you? That's a great question. That's a great question. Damn. Because that's politics, right? Like that's the interplay of the world. That sense of control. What you would say that you like to take control of people a lot? Yeah, that's kind of. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of kinky. I'm just saying, not to follow up on that, but that's hella kinky. That's definitely a play there. But regardless, yeah. I mean, can you truly take control over someone? Exactly. No, what you said exactly. Not everybody's saying what they're thinking. Not at all. I feel like to even start talking, not all the time, but for the most part, if you're thinking about what you're saying, you're filtering heavy. There's a lot of thought filtration. How many times are you at work and someone says or does something and you just want to say one thing, but you just do another? That's dangerous though. That's hella dangerous, because if there was no filter, right? I just know exactly what you're thinking. You know exactly what I'm thinking. We'll give it a two-way aspect right now. Well, I feel like you'd be able to literally transcend and evolve like so quickly. Okay. But yeah, I think that's a commonplace thing to happen. That happens a lot. You go with the first thought though. Do you feel like if someone is what someone says less relevant than what someone thinks? Because I feel like it takes a degree of control and like mental exercise to think one thing but then actually say another one. Obviously that there's a whole spectrum of ways that this can come across, but say you're driving, right? Someone cuts you off. Like, your first thought might be like, F this person. Like, you might want to flip them off. But then if you pull up next to them, your first thing you might say is like, I don't know, it could be anything less dramatic than maybe the first thought that you had. Damn. That's levels though. Shit, you sound like a next level person, I'm not gonna lie. You're deep into the mental game. Not a lot of people are that deep into the mental game. Your thought is more important than the most raw form of a person's emotions or being. Raw, that's a deep thing to say. That's a deep thing to say. Do you feel like your thought is always the truth of like what you're being, right? Your thought is always your truth. But with I guess like with the split between thought and communication, verbally, shall we say, there's somewhat of a disconnect. And also, do you feel like you need to be in control in order for it to pleasure you, right? Or in order for you to carry on in the situation, you feel like you have to be in control? Or can you contend with being simultaneously in control and then not in control? Or do you feel like it's a sharp edge? I don't know what I just said there. It's a hard edge, shall we say, where it's either one or the other. The heart controls the mind. That's a deep question. I'd like to go into that a bit more. So that's, in my opinion, that's very individual to individual. For me, I can tell you that, yeah, my heart controls my mind. I can say that without a shadow of doubt. Damn, that's another level entirely. And I don't disagree whatsoever. I 100% think being submissive is a form of control. In the highest degree. 100%. That's a whole nother level. But yeah, in my particular instance, I can't do anything. I can't will anything just mentally that is not backed by my heart. You think I'm being submissive just because that I'm using being submissive to please you and get what you want from you, correct? Well, the thing is, I guess when it comes to human interactivity, right? It is like a give and take scenario, right? And then there's just various stages of that, and then various flipping of that in terms of the relationship. So being submissive to someone, yeah, it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're in control of you, especially if you've allowed them to be dominant over you. That's actually pretty fascinating. I've been reading a book that someone recommended to me, and it describes a relationship, right, that this woman is having with a man. And in the relationship, because of whatever various background factors, the woman in the relationship feels like she wants to be submissive to the man in the relationship, just because I'm not Jamaican, bro. My dad's from Barbados and my mum's English, so not too far off. Yeah, still in the Caribbean. But yeah, when it comes to, yeah, in that particular scenario, right, like she allows herself to be submissive purely because, I don't know, I think in the book she describes it as like she wants to be degraded because she feels like she's a bad person, right? But the man in the scenario who's being quote unquote dominant is only dominant because she allows him to be. So in that sense, yeah, I do feel like she's entirely controlling him, because she's both set up the scenario, facilitated it, and is the reason why it's taken place in the first place. So yeah, I see exactly what you mean when you say being submissive can be a form of control, because it definitely can be, right? Like I feel like all relationships require a level of submissiveness and a level of dominance, and then there's various levels of interplay between them. But when it comes to the heart controlling the mind, though, fascinating. I was having a conversation. I've actually the video is actually up on YouTube, but I was having a conversation with some friends, right? And one thing that we were talking about was can you not like can you, but do men enter into relationships purely based on like mental factors? Like are men moving with their mind or with their heart? And although that's a broad question, and again, individual to individual, I think like what she was trying to highlight was that there are certain relationships, right, where maybe you don't love the person, or maybe you don't connect with the person in the highest emotional degree or sense, but at the same time you understand that practically they're a good fit for you for X, Y, and Z reason, right? Like, I don't know, they can cook well, they have a good job, they're homely, they don't cheat, X, Y, and Z, and so they have loyalty, trust, all that. And so even though you don't love them with your heart, you love them with your mind. Yeah? Did you do it? No, yeah, wait, I'm just streaming, Mum. You want me to take it in tomorrow? Yeah. I'll take it tomorrow. Fucking hell, sorry about that. Yeah, telepathy would be next level. You'd want to be Jean Grey mixed with Professor X. Well, I mean, that's just a whole nother level. But I think, you know what, the character of Jean Grey, I think, is a perfect example of like the dangers of extreme mind control, right? Because in Jean Grey's specific scenario, obviously, yeah, she does have some trauma which manifests itself in the form of the Phoenix. But it's like the further that she goes with her powers, right? I don't know if maybe towards the end of the comic she actually assumes full control over the powers, but for the most part, right, the more she gets, like, the more she uses her psychic abilities, the less control she has over them, right? And the more extreme she becomes, to the point where it's not quite her, right? It's like an alter ego, but the alter ego is like assuming control over her. But I mean, shit, that's like a split personality thing as well, with an interesting power play dynamic. But I will say, how long can, again, to relate it back to what you're saying about can the heart control the mind, how long can you be in a scenario, relationship situation where you're not acting with your heart, you're only acting with your mind? How long can you be in that scenario for before there's just a natural imbalance, right? And you begin to do actions that are either uncouth or they're not something that you would maybe have done if you'd been in a scenario where actually you were having your heart-based emotional needs satisfied. Nah, not long at all. Damn, you're impatient though, right? You're impatient. There are some relationships that are like, how many loveless marriages are there? How many people stay together because they're in like a relationship of power? Like, I'm thinking of like an arranged marriage here, where it's not, obviously there are a lot of arranged marriages that aren't necessarily only practical. There are a lot that are also kind of like one person chose the other person, or they knew each other for a long time. But I do know that there's a certain amount of them where the actual person doesn't, or both parties don't necessarily love each other, but they can bear each other, right? You can't call that a relationship. Why don't you think you can call that a relationship? I'm not necessarily sure I agree, but I would say that I don't feel like it fulfills the relationship fantasy or the relationship ideal that I think most people want or seek in this world. I agree to that. I think a relationship is any connection between two people. I think that's what a relationship is. But yeah, there are various degrees of a relationship. And I suppose, I mean, how different is a friendship? A partnership though. What's a partnership? What's a partnership? How is a partnership different from a relationship? Can it be? Just out of interest. That's curious. I've never thought of it like that. A partnership. I mean, yeah. Friendship certainly feels maybe one particular way. Okay, like a business relationship, right? Okay, like an enterprise. Right, alright, okay. Yeah. But, I mean, what's the common factor between all of them, though? Because I feel like when it comes to any relationship, there's a give and take, either mutually or in one direction, right? Like, in a relationship, one person is getting something from it and another person is getting something from it. Like, and I think that can manifest obviously in a variety of forms, but either in the sense that one person feels like, I don't know, they've got a lot to give, and the other person feels like maybe they need to take a lot. That's a really basic example, and that's not really how things manifest actually. But I guess maybe it's more of a like a base example. But could you not call a relationship? Would you just call that a partnership? Should that be a redefined way of thinking? If you're in a relationship with someone that you don't love, or that you have minimal love for, but you have every practical obligation towards them, would you just call that a partnership and say that's done? Couples without love. Can you even have a couple without love though? I feel like you can't even have a couple without. Is that even possible? Obviously, love has various different degrees to it. Like, maybe you can love the practical side of a person, but maybe you don't love the emotional. You don't love the emotional side. Like, they don't tick all your boxes, shall we say? Wait, hold on. Okay, wait, hold on. I have to go back to what you said, because what you said was like, that was such a statement. That was so deep. Okay. If you would get telepathy so that you could be perfect for someone, right? Which is cool. That's deep levels. What kind of relationship is that though? Like, I feel like all relationships to a degree have like inherent flaws. But if you're perfect for them, I mean, can there be flaws and errors with something that is perfect? That's another level. Couples that zero the practical reason, not love. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying now. To be a partnership like that seems just factually true. Because it seems to be missing a vital ingredient, right? And maybe that ingredient is hard to define, but at the same time, that ingredient is like, it seems so necessary for like a flourishing relationship. So I'm emotionally connected to you. I'm mentally connected to you. So it's a real relationship. Facts. I couldn't deny that. But I guess deep, or things that you deny from yourself. Yeah. But in you like knowing all these things about a person and being able to act upon them directly or indirectly, although I know for you it's going to be directly, You open the closet with a skeleton and you say hi to it. But would you? How much of yourself though is being expressed here? Because surely, like as part and parcel of you being in the relationship, right? Like you're having to connect to a person through the medium of yourself. Like I know that sounds, I said that in a bit of an obtuse way, but like I guess what I mean is like you can only connect to another person through your ego, right? I know there are maybe examples of potentially like egoless relationships, but I think that seems a lot more mystical to me. Maybe that's something that you have with God or something like that. But when it comes to like actual human interaction, right? You as a woman, and then being with a man, or whatever, however many variations that you prefer. Surely you have to connect to them through your person, right? Your actual ego. And I feel like if you know so much about a person that you're catering to them, right? Like you're like you said, you're created for them in a sense. Like you've become perfect for them. Are you anymore? Like, and I don't mean you in the sense that like you cease to be the individual that you are, but are you not in a sense denying your own person in adapting to the person that you're perfect for? No, I know that. I know for sure. I just have an intense level of understanding of that other person. I don't even think intense is the right way to describe it. This is beyond intense. This is the highest degree to which you could know a person, right? Like there'd be like you said, you know them better than they know themselves, because you'd be able to know their entire history. Although, as another factor though, do you feel like with telepathy, you know the person objectively, or do you only know what they know about themselves, right? Do you feel like telepathy allows you to know truth about someone that they don't know about themselves, or does telepathy only let you know what they think they know about themselves, if you see what I mean? Would I want to do that? Would I want to know a person perfectly? I would want to do that. I very much would want to do that. That sounds amazing. I'm not even going to lie to you. Because I feel like this is maybe going to sound a bit idealistic, and feel free to comment how you feel in relation to this or in response to this. But I feel like in the ideal or perfect relationship, right? I feel like you lose yourself to a degree. Like I feel like if this was one person and this was another person, and then this was the relationship that you had, like there becomes so much overlap that it feels like, at what point do you begin and at what point do they end? And I feel like that's what I'd like to strive for in a relationship. Maybe I'm being too idealistic here. Maybe that's unachievable. But does that put me in control? That's another debate entirely. I find the concept or idea of control to be fascinating. I don't know how much do I believe in control? That's a whole nother question. Someone can put off that they are anyone face to face. You can't hide who you are in your mind. It's true. It's true. But I will say though, can a person hide who they are though? Like, it does seem that you can put up all kinds of fronts. It does seem that you can put on any amount of displays that would maybe mislead or confuse a person that doesn't know you. But do your actions not almost perfectly convey the actual individual that you are, if you see what I mean? At least to like some degree. You can be a jockish personality and I search your mind and you're a scared little boy who had a life kick his ass. Yeah, facts. Big facts. I think that we're one and the same in a relationship. I'm talking about being one to another level. Yeah, I mean, damn though. I mean, are you saying that you wanna have complete unity with a person, right? Where even though you're two separate entities, you operate as if you're just one being. Like when they have a thought, it's like you have that same thought, and when you have a thought, it's like they have that same thought, and then you just run with it. But I feel like in that scenario though, it does seem perfect. I'm not gonna lie, it seems fantastic. But is it is something lost there that actual relationships seem to have? If there's no separation between the two of you, does that kind of not even undermine like spontaneity, but like does it allow for a person to be a person like by their own right? Or is it like a commitment that you almost can't turn back on, if you see what I mean? Is it something where if you make the choice to be with a person in the manner that you're talking about, does that completely, I feel like you lose your sense of self in that, and so do they. But it's willing. I hope it's willing. I know maybe for you this is not as willing. I know maybe you'd rather it be like you being fully in the driving seat. No, I know it. I know it. I know it in the highest truth. Like there are so many people that, act one way, but deep down are another way. Yeah, I know. No, that's big facts. I guess. Are you defined though? Are you defined by the thoughts that you have, or are you able to overcome the thoughts that you have, or transmute, or however you want to call it, turn those thoughts into something different through action? I think if you walk up to me, sadly, you ask for it. That's so deep. That's so deep. For you, would there be a specific individual that you'd look for, that you'd want to use this on? Or would it literally just be like luck, like fate, like no way to, like, is there someone that you'd be looking for who would fulfill this criteria for you that you'd want to actually use this on? You definitely can't overcome memories. Yeah, I agree. You can't overcome memories, but I suppose you can learn from them and use them and adapt from them. But that's not, I know that's not what you're saying. Obviously, just the objective trace of the memory is still there. And knowing that about a person does indeed give you a greater degree of knowledge, shall we say, about how they would react or act or whatever else. Like you just got a file and opens in it as soon as you walk to me. Damn. You're sweet. But I don't know though. Do you feel like? Yeah, no, I know. Is there anything that you wouldn't want to know though? Is there anything that would even, I guess, like, because obviously this is from the perspective that you don't know, right? Like, or this is from the outside perspective of things that, I guess, you maybe assume but you don't know factually. But when you actually come to know a person in entirety, right? Would there be things that you feel like would maybe sour how you feel? Like, or would you feel like you're just so non-judgmental that you're just accepting whatever? You go off memories and not thoughts. Interesting. What makes you want to go off memories and not thoughts in particular? like crimes. Like, what do you mean? Sorry, could you elaborate a bit more? But yeah, no, I do 100% agree that who you are does fuel the interaction on any level, shall we say. Who you are is going to be part and parcel of like what makes it thing happen. I agree. Life does mold your thoughts. Yeah. Your memories do mold your thoughts to a degree, yeah. Not even to a degree, directly, yeah. 100%. I guess assuming that the cause and effect of one memory will certainly lead to a particular outcome. Like, if I know you brutally killed your ex, would I walk away? Hey, how's it going, bro? The thing is though, can you walk away though? If you know someone entirely, could you walk away from them? Because I feel like in knowing someone so deeply though, do they not become part of you to some pretty major degree? So wait, so you do think you could walk away from someone that you know to that level? Damn, you're still working on compatibility. Give you an ingredient. Spinach, bro. Spinach. Well, is that basic, man? Spinach is hella basic. Well, I'll give you first ingredient, spinach. Okay. Okay, so you feel like so compatibility though, right? But so when you say that knowing someone perfectly, and then adapting to them, does that not overcome compatibility though? Like, isn't compatibility something like not like crossover, right? Like compatibility is like how many boxes like are ticked on the line that still like cross. I agree, but I agree, but I feel like when it comes to a person though, and like knowing them entirely, like being subsumed by them almost, at least temporarily, I feel like, would that not give you like a level of responsibility though? Like if you knew that a person had been through all of X, Y, and Z, not just abstractly, not just like I tell you I've been through something and then you tell me, and then you relate to that. Like I don't even tell you, like, like you felt it, you know it like I know it, you feel it like I feel it. Because I feel like that's what it is to be telepathic. It's not even to experience something externally. It's to like experience it internally, as if it was you. Like if you knew the history of my life, right? If you could see all my memories, you wouldn't. Of course, you would still have like your perspective, right? You'd still have your person, your particular set of memories. But then it's like you would have me entirely as well. You'd know me in the most absolute way. You'd know me like you knew yourself. You might even know me better than you know yourself. And if you know me better than you know yourself, okay, maybe that doesn't follow because you're telepathic. So maybe I hope that you know yourself entirely. But I mean, it does kind of make you a superhero, though. It doesn't even you are a superhero. Like with telepathy, you could just do anything in the world. I feel. I don't know. It's your choice. It's your choice, right? Like you're telling me that, you randomly get one person, or are you saying for you, this is just like this is anybody and everybody. Because then, would you wanna? That's deep, man. There's so many levels to it. I mean, yeah, effectively, or at least I hope so. I guess okay, but this is okay. So this is the thing. This is maybe a bit to go a bit further into maybe like the interplay of the mind, right? On something like depression. How can I? Let me just like think of how I can put this. Say you were in my mind, right? And you're able to communicate anything to me at any rate. Yeah, I mean, you're in control here. You're in control here. I can't. This is, you can do whatever you want. Like I'm nobody to tell you. You tell me. Apparently, you're telling me that you tell me. But I'm saying if it came to a telepathic interaction, right? I mean, yeah, of course you are. Just like I'm in your mind right now. But I guess it's like it's not in the same level of purity that I think we're both talking about. I think this is close to a degree. I think this is close, but it's not. It's filtered still. There's still a layer of there's still so much more that you could know about me, and there's still so much more that I could know about you that would take this even further, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm trying to give you as much as I can here, but I feel like there's still some inherent limitations that I don't feel like would exist in a telepathic communicative relationship. Well, what can I say? But say you were in my mind right now, yeah, and you're relaying information to me. It's not as if you would be able to. I mean, to a degree, I feel like you'd have the ability to suppress me, right? My mind. But for me to accept what you're saying, like whatever you're conveying to my mind, I would actually have to accept it, right? I'd have to believe it. I'd have to accept it for myself. I couldn't just take what you were saying to me and internalize it without actually upholding the belief, if you see what I mean. I know maybe I didn't say that clearly enough. How can I even put this? This is so mental. But say you were in my mind, right? And you're telling me like, don't do this action, say. 23 viewers, Pog. Hey, what's up, Trildo? How do you get that that ice flake behind your thing? That's real cool. But yeah, say you were in my mind, yeah, and then you were trying to get me to not do a specific action. Let's just take that as an example, right? You don't want me to do something. I feel like I'd have to fundamentally accept what you're saying. Like I couldn't resist it, because if I'm resisting what you're saying, then like you're not controlling me, right? Like I feel like inherent in the ability of like the telepathic person is not just to overwhelm the person whose mind you're in, but to like assimilate their mind, shall we say. Charity. What as in you did a charity stream and then you got that symbol. Bro, that's cool, man. Shout out to you, man. Big respect. Grilled cooked spinach, mushroom and provolone cheesesteak with grilled onions, sweet and hot pepper filled in a soft and crispy. How do you pronounce this? Hoagie roll. Alright. I call it the Bet Philly cheesesteak. Bro, please start an Instagram page, man. I want to follow you on Instagram. Hey, wow. All these viewers. Wow. What's even happening here? Anyway. you would have to cut off the memories that create the emotion to believe what you believe. The thing is though, can you cut off the emotions to create the memories that I believe though? Because I mean, that's like altering my person, right? That's like actually altering like the fundamental state of my mind. And if you're altering the fundamental state of my mind, then it's like, is that still me though? Or is that you? Do you know what I mean? Like at what point do I begin and you begin in that sense? Or is this because for you like you were saying, you want it to really be like completely unified? Like closing a door that I have opened. That's deep. Damn. But what if the person didn't want that door closed though? Like, because I think what you're saying is actually really clear, right? Like that's like saying like I'm still in love with a person, right? And so I have that door open in the back of my mind. And then you're saying that you would just close that door forcefully. And then like, I feel like how is that going to affect? How is that going to actually affect like my own dynamic? Because it's like, if you would close the door to some of the memories that actually, that make me, right? Like memories of previous relationships that I've been in, previous relationships that I've had, but that I'm still attached to, that I still carry sentiment about. How would like, I don't know, how would you be able to seamlessly overcome that without me putting up hella resistance and then ultimately coming into conflict with you over that? Because I feel like if we're in conflict, there's nothing wrong with conflict, by the way, mentally, between like a telepathic person and the person being impressioned on. But I just feel like, would that conflict not kind of sour the experience, shall we say? It's mutual though. But this is what I mean though. How would you convince me? How would you convince me to give up something and you can open the door back up? Wait, so you're saying that, again, let's take this example. You've closed the door in my mind, yeah? But you're saying that I would still have the effective power to open it back up. But if you're the one that's closed it, surely I don't have the power anymore. Surely the power is now dependent upon like whether you allow it or not. Or are you saying that, again, you've just convinced me. You've just convinced me that I don't know, like that maybe I'm wrong for seeing things the way I did, and now what can I say? Like, because I was wrong and now I see right, that I guess you've done your job. You would open it up. Damn, you got such a high degree of control in this scenario. This is deep. This is so deep. How, like, so you're getting pure enjoyment and fulfillment about having this high degree of control. It's like remembering something you thought you forgot. Damn. So you're saying with the telepathic ability, right? You could even suppress someone's ability to remember something. That's wild. That's wild. I feel like you got like a queen bee mentality. You got like an empress mentality here, where like it's like you're giving and sending the thoughts, and then it feels like the subject just receives them. I'm not saying I don't think so. I just feel like, is that not problematic when it comes to like the actual relationship that you have? because I feel like you'd have to constantly make adaptations. I know there's anything wrong with constantly making adaptations based on the things you close, but it's like, say you prevent me from having access to particular memories that make me act in a certain way, right? Like maybe you cut off, like you said, maybe you cut off the traumatic experiences that I have so that I no longer get depressed, right? I'm no longer feeling sad about the trauma because I don't have access to it anymore. That's going to fundamentally alter the actions that I now do, right? And if it's altering the actions that I now do, then you have to then deal with that, like make you less attracted to girls who like power. Is that even possible though? Because I'm saying, does that not carry some sort of inherent contradiction though? Because if you've assumed ultimate power over me, right? Like through what you're doing, you've assumed the ultimate power over me. You've got control of my mind essentially. And then I get that you're acting like, it's seemingly like altruistically. I get that you're acting from a place of good intention, right? Like you're doing it because you want what's best for me. But if you, the person that has complete control over me, is preventing, shall we say, like you're stopping me being attracted to other women who have a similar degree of power, isn't that going to affect my attraction to you? Like, would that not be a direct result of that? Or are you saying that, I don't know, like it's like having blinkers or something, like on a horse where like I just can't even see them. Like I just X them out of my vision because of like what you've managed to do to me. I don't know. It's so tricky. I feel like there's so much like interplay here when it comes to what you do and then how it affects me. Because do any of us think we're being controlled? Well, okay, I guess to expand out the conversation, I believe that, although I believe fundamentally, that I have complete autonomy over my life, I believe fundamentally that I control all the choices that I make. In that sense, I would regard myself as the doer, right? I'm the doer of the actions that I take. When I mean, empaths are the best for sure. But when it comes to me actually looking at the actions that I take, right? On any level, any action that I do, the action is essentially controlled by a series of factors, events, and circumstances that just led me to the action, right? Do you know what I mean? So in that sense, although I'm telling you that I have control over my actions, to some degree, I don't. To some degree, I can't even control what I'm doing because what I'm doing is actually dependent upon factors that led up to what I'm doing. So it's like, how much control do I really have? I mean, I will admit this does become a bit of a like a circular argument. Like how can you ever really overcome that? I don't know how you can ever really overcome that. I don't know if it even makes any difference because at the end of the day, you still have actions, right? And the actions that you make, regardless of whether you think you have control over them or you actually do have control over them, still happen. Like the sense of power I have comes from factors that happened to me in my past. Yeah, entirely. I get that. But is the feeling is it actually having? Are we coming to the conclusion that we don't? Well, like to me, it seems like yes and no. Like it seems to exist in some sort of like Schrodinger's box scenario almost. Like that's the only way I can really describe it. Because say, like the actions that I take, like I said, there's a whole history that applies to me, anybody, everybody, and it's like that history is obviously forming it's actually forming like the present moment to some degree, whether it's like whether that manifests in its opposite, right? Like say say like I've just had a quote unquote good life, right? And I'm just everything I've been exposed to is by and large positive. Like that, it doesn't necessarily follow that just because I've been exposed to only positive things that I will go on and seek and do only positive actions. As a result of being subject to so much positivity, there's a good possibility that it could turn me evil. Like, I'm sure you know people that have like maybe high performing families, right? And like there's multiple children, and then like some of them do well, one of them does really well. But as a result, like, of seeing the other one perform so well, the other person doesn't necessarily want to perform that well. They actually want to like be rebellious, as for example. Like that's pretty, yeah, it's pretty messed up. But I guess it is what it is. The thing is, I wouldn't say that we don't have control. I do think we have control over ourselves. I will say that, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the thoughts and memories that you experience, right? Like, the more aware that you are of them, the more you can see how they affect you and how they've influenced the choices that you've made. And in that awareness, I feel like you can see the origin. And in seeing the origin, I feel like you're seeing the source of power. You're seeing the fundamental steps that lead from one action to another action. But I feel like it's only once you can see that, the fundamental steps, that you can begin to counteract it, right, with alternative actions. Until you become aware, you're always just subject to like the same thing repeating over and over again, shall we say. But do you think that's a choice they actually made, though? You don't think that there may have been one factor that made them different from the rest? There is one factor that made them different from the rest, for sure. But I guess I'm saying, like, it's hard to do in absolute terms, I suppose, because yeah, how could positivity, constant positivity in your life, lead you to negative actions? That doesn't seem to logically follow, yet it seems to be the case all the time. And so clearly there's some particular factors that would lead them to want to feel like they want to be rebellious. But I mean, it could be something as simple as not wanting to be the same as someone else, right? That factor that created the choice they had to make. Yeah, it did. It did create that choice. I guess the reason why I find it so tricky to talk about, like, whether we have choice or we don't have choice, is because it really depends on, like, your perspective. Like, I feel like relatively, on a relative scale, for sure we have choice. It does appear that from me to you or you to me, like, I'm able to take control or ownership over the actions that I'm doing. Emphasis on appears to. I can't tell you with a high degree of certainty, but that's what it feels like to me. I feel like I can make any choice that I want to make. And I seem to make particular choices. Starting to think we're in a Black Mirror. I mean, life is a bit of a Black Mirror episode. I can't even lie. We just created the question for the next stream: do we have choice or not? Yeah, I mean, I'd love to discuss that in depth, in I guess a bit more detail. I suppose, not ironically, but I guess for me, that was something that I feel like I thought a lot about, right? Like, how much choice do I actually have? But in some ways, I will make this title of a stream, by the way, because why not? But I do feel like to some degree it's irrelevant, and I feel like it's easy to get caught up in the question of, like, the yes or no of choice. I do feel like it can be very easy to, like, try and see things in that way. How would I use my telepathy? So, okay. Great way to skirt back. Right. So I feel like the way that I would use telepathy would be as an initial means of understanding like humanity. I'd just do it one individual at a time, right? Until I built up the mental strength to be able to like mass analyze people. Like I really want to see what events, what factors, what choices led or lead a person to make particular actions. And so in the same way that you're saying like you just want to know a person entirely, you want to know all their memories, etc., etc., I would want to know all your memories as well. I'd want to know every piece of your life that led you to be where you are. And then I just want to see how that plays out. Well, yeah, because the thing is like it would just be mad overwhelming. Like I'm getting better at understanding multiple people to higher degrees, but like if there was 20 people right now just all spinning off their life to me, there'd be no way I could keep up. I'd have to build that up, and I know that's possible. But yeah, I feel like if I could understand why people do what they do, maybe beyond what they even know or why they even know why they're doing what they're doing, then I feel like I would be able to see. The thing is, I hesitate to use the word use, right? Because I wouldn't want to use it against people, but I would definitely I would use it as a way to influence people in what I deem to be a positive way. Yeah, I want to see the trauma. Of course I want to see the trauma. Like the trauma is as much part of you as the happiest memories that you have. And it's like I wouldn't want to shy away from that, especially if that's the defining factor of a person, right? Because the emphasis comes in like multiple waves. For some people can go through traumatic experiences and it really have no effect upon their psychology, right? Like it affects them, but it doesn't change their external look of life. Like it doesn't make them more pessimistic. It could be like a one in whatever chance. But for some people, obviously the trauma becomes something that they become really attached to. And then it becomes like the basis and center for how they look at the world. And I feel like if I could tell that about a person, if I could identify that like you were just attached to the trauma that happened to you, I feel like I would be able to gently like unravel that knot, shall we say. Like, because the truth is, how many people are there in this world, yeah, that like are just consumed by their own suffering? Like they can't get away from their own pain. Like they're just in a perpetual state of running away. Like they feel like they're in search of something or they're moving towards something and they don't even know why they're doing it. Like they just feel like this pressure, like this monkey at their back, right? These wolves at your door. Like that's always pushing them from one place to another. But they don't even know like why they're doing it. And I feel like it's because I feel like that's a result of not knowing yourself. I feel like that's a direct result of shying away from things that have happened to you or like the experiences of your life, right? Like something bad happens and you just repress it, right? Like you dismiss it, you deny it, and you keep denying it. Every time it comes up, you get even better at denying it until eventually you form a whole series of defense mechanisms that stop you from like experiencing that same emotional pain. But then it just manifests in different forms of emotion and pain, right? And like to me, I see this as like an unending series of suffering that can only be broken through by having deep awareness of yourself. And so I guess when I say influence them, the only thing that I want for people, because I feel like it's the only thing I have for myself, is a high degree of awareness about who you are and what you are. I mean, the thing is, I feel like at first it would appear to be random, right? But I mean, they wouldn't be random people to me because I'd know them, right? Like I'd know them deeply. And I feel like, yeah. I mean, yeah, inevitably they're going to be random people at first. but I feel like there could be particular individuals later down the road who maybe it would benefit to influence. But like, I actually don't care that much about specific individuals like in high positions of power. Say like, I wouldn't use this to influence politicians to make them make certain political choices. I don't actually care about that. For me, it'd actually be more about your everyday person who just does things and they don't understand why they do them. And then all I'd like to do is give them the ability to actually see the causes of why they do what they do. How would you explain to a random person that you know them like you've been an angel? Well, I mean, it's going to be awkward at first, I feel. It's going to be real awkward. I don't know. I'm finding better and better ways of being able to like talk to a random person and connect to them without it being grating, right? Because like, obviously, like I said, to a degree, you have to surrender. I can't force a person to do anything. There's nothing I can make a man do. There really isn't. Obviously, I can coerce someone, but coercion is not... coercion, in my opinion, is not a long-term effective method. Because coercion is just essentially making someone fear pain. And I don't want to do that. But I want a person to see for themselves. That's it. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Plato's analogy of the cave, right? But Plato's analogy of the cave is essentially just, it's an analogy whereby like, okay, I'll just talk about the analogy because it's hard to talk about the analogy without actually explaining it. But in the analogy, right, there's a bunch of people in a cave and the people are only seeing, they've been there their whole lives. And the only things that they can see are the images projected on the wall by like figures behind them. And so what they see, they believe to be reality, right? What they see, they believe to be truth because they don't know any different. They're also chained to where they sit, so they can't look around and see other people. But when it comes to like the actual truth of the world, of external reality, it's something that they know nothing about. And so, like, I guess in the analogy of the cave, a benevolent philosopher essentially frees all the people in the cave and they get to go outside and they get to see like the truth of the sun, right? They get to see the sunlight. They get to see the world in its entirety, in its beauty, in its deficiency, etc., etc. Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? We're big man, bro. My dad is downstairs, mate. But yeah, essentially that's what I'd like to do. I just like the ability to get people to see what's been there their whole lives, but that they can't see because they're blinded by the illusions that they're fed. So many of us are blinded by the stories that are told to us, and we just internalize them, accept them, and believe them. And that becomes our truth, right? Like, it's like, how many people, right, like, for whatever reason, like, they're raised and, like, they're told that they're not good enough. Yeah, you're pretty scary, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But a bit less scary to me now that I'm grown up, I will say that. But yeah, how many people have just, they've gone about their whole lives being told that they're not good enough. And so, as a result of that, they do things that they feel are, like, acceptable to them, but really they're actually beneath them. Why do you feel like people need to do that? Why do I feel like they are where isn't where they should be? Because okay, you ask a deep question, right? And I don't want to rant off too much, yeah. But I just don't believe, yeah, that obviously you could say deterministically that, yeah, you are meant to end up at 35 years old working in the office that you've worked with for the last 10 years, like filling out invoices to hit the bottom line for your company, that all they really care about is making lots of money, right? Like, sure, you could say to a degree that they're meant to do that, but in my opinion, that's not at all what human beings were meant to do. Like, that's just some sad, I see it sad. Obviously other people don't feel that way, but in my opinion, like this mad capitalistic machine that we live in is like the result of like not being lied to, but like being deceived for profits. Well, I mean, I can't say that. I mean, I can't say that for sure at all. Yeah, the cave is their world. Like, to me, it's not about making people do things that they don't want to do or they don't know what they're doing about. It's just showing them options. It's just giving people opportunities. If you don't want to take up an opportunity, that's fine. Like, but at least you were given it. At least you had the option. I feel like too many people in our world are denied options and opportunities based on a whole series of factors that like are just bullshit. They're just bullshit. Like, if one of the reasons why you won't go and talk to the person that you like is because you're not confident enough, it's like that can change. Like that can be different. Like, you don't have to live your life scared or in fear. Like, you just don't have to. But I understand for a lot of people it's just not that easy and it's not that simple. And I guess I just want to give people the opportunity to see like there's something outside of the story that you tell yourself. There's something outside of the story that you accept to be true, just because it's something that you've been dealing with since you were born, right? Like, or whatever. Like, the fact that you were burned in a fire or whatever, it doesn't have to define who you are as a person. Like, you don't always have to be a victim. Like, you just don't have to always be a victim. But for a lot of people, it doesn't feel that way. For a lot of people, I feel they feel like, who am I to stand up against the system? Who am I to say that I shouldn't be subject to this pain, to this trauma? And so as a result of that, that's how they carry themselves, right? Like, there are so many people who are just attached to pain and they can't see anything outside of it. Yeah, I would have to spend a lot of time understanding things. The truth is, I don't think there's anything shallow about what you're saying at all. Not at all. Because what you're saying is that you want the ability to connect to someone on the deepest possible way. And it's like, who doesn't want that? That's something that people are genuinely denied in this world. Like, how many people you walk past on the street that don't even acknowledge you, that don't even say hi to you? I'm not getting anything. This is the thing, I don't want anything. Like, it's not, there's nothing for me to get. This is the thing, like, it's for everybody else. It's for other people. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a responsibility to share with people and to give people the opportunity to have a different perspective. Like, that's all I feel like. I don't want anything out of someone. Like, I wouldn't even do it in the objective that if I was able to make someone see something that they couldn't see, but yet having seen what they saw, they still chose to do what they were doing, like, that's fine to me. Like, that's completely fine to me, because at least then you made an authentic choice, and a choice that's not based upon ignorance, shall we say. Well, I mean, thank you. That is what I'm trying to do. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I do believe in telepathy to a degree, but not necessarily in a mystical sense. More in like a literal sense, right? Like, the degree to which you have knowledge and control over your own mind gives you the ability to connect to other people. Like, there are so many people who are just not open. Like, well, I'm glad that you said it, but if you want to go over to www.youtube.com/KSG Eternal, you can actually see a couple of the things I put out. Just saying. I'm playing. I mean, there is actually some videos there, but I'm working on it. That's what I'm trying to do here with the stream. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like, maybe I overrate understanding. Maybe I overrate understanding, but I don't know. I feel like it gives you the ability to, like, in my opinion, it's the first step. Like when you said something like overcoming depression, right? Like I see that the very first step in that is being able to actually see it for what it is, to understand the reasons why it's come about, and then unwind that, and then being able to change what you do. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You seem like an individual with a very high degree of like mental accuracy, shall we say? Like, I can just tell. I can tell you be. I can tell you be a next level manager. I can tell anything where there's people. I can see you at the top of that food chain. I just get that vibe. I can see that. But yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult for sure, because I understand that um the line between manipulation and the line between like gentle nudge in the right direction is it's a fine one. It's a very fine line, and I guess I'm potently aware of that, and I don't want to manipulate any person. I don't want to put my will upon another person for any reason. Do you think we can come up with a chip that unlocks that gift? Yeah, I do. I do believe that, and I believe that that's what mental augmentation will be. Like, if I could have one thing from the future that I believe is real, I would have internet mind. I would have internet mind. And by internet mind, I mean the ability to rapidly access vast quantities of data and information, but just in my head. Like, I don't need to Google anything. Like, just from my own mind, I'd be able to access the truth. What if the trauma is too bad, and to move forward they need to suppress it? That's a tricky one. But do you believe that there's a trauma too bad that you can't move on from? Or do you need different mechanisms of coping or dealing with or handling that trauma? Because I feel like I don't know if there's a trauma so bad that you can't move on from it, but I do believe that you may not have the tools to accurately deal with the trauma. Like, for example, there's plenty, especially in America, also in the UK, there's plenty of people from the military who come back who are afflicted by heavy PTSD. The things that they've seen, like, becomes heavy periods of trauma. And I do think that not all of them innately have the capacity to deal with the trauma, but I do believe through various programs, therapy, treatments, etc., that you can find new ways of dealing with it that can open up your life. Oh no, I know exactly what you're saying. And the fight or flight response is ancient. That's at the deepest part of the human being. Like, to run away or confront is like, it's the most basic fundamental choice that happens, and you don't even decide it. You're like, your ego doesn't decide that. It really doesn't. But it can be, your fight or flight response can be conditioned though. And this is the thing. I think there are a lot of people who are subject to their fight or flight response without any like way to deal with it. When I think in truth, your fight or flight response can be trained. It can be honed. If everything was meant for you to face, yeah. But there's so many different ways, and I'm not saying that all of them are purely mental. Like, when it comes to PTSD, I do understand that people that have been doing people have been doing ketamine treatments, right? Like they've been doing, I think ketamine is opiate. I think so. Don't quote me on that though. Also, don't do ketamine without advice from your doctor. I just had to say that. Anyway, I've seen that these ketamine treatments have actually been able to like reprogram the brain. And the same comes with psilocybin as well. Like it's been shown in various studies that psilocybin has the ability to stimulate new actual growth in your brain. Well, you say that though. I mean, some of these drugs are real good. Some of these drugs take the pain away. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. I'm just playing with you. Don't do drugs to take the pain away. Unless you really need to. Unless you really, really need to. And again, not without your doctor's advice. But yeah, psilocybin can stimulate new neural pathways, right? So say like you can have certain beliefs and certain understandings that become critical or key to like how you like conduct yourself or perceive yourself or see things in the world, right? Like it could be like a very specific view about a particular type of people, right? Like a racist or whatever. So many different ways to describe it. But under the influence of psilocybin, with new neural pathways being stimulated, it's like you find new avenues of thinking. Like you're able to connect dots that previously you thought had no correlation. And I think that in itself is pretty impressive. It's pretty fantastic. Like there's no words for that, and it's crazy that kind of thing just exists in the world as like something that was just put here. It's mad that there's mushrooms that you can just eat when dried out that will change your life. Like you just found a new flaw in your logic. Fascinating. Care to share? Well, what flaw did you just find in your logic? That's pretty impressive to be able to find a flaw in your own logic, like straight up like that. I hope so. I mean, yes and no. Yes. Sometimes you learn, sometimes you're doomed to repeat the same mistake or experience again. It depends on whether you learn the lesson, yeah. But yeah, go on. That learning from your mistakes and experience should be the path and is the path to being free from the mistakes and experiences, yeah. Subject to conditionality. Subject to conditionality, I'll say that. My throat raspy though. Also, thanks for entertaining this conversation for so long. You got some great capacity for this. I think you should make a podcast. If I close the door to trauma, am I increasing the possibility to make it happen again? Yes. In the most basic sense, yes. I think anytime that you suppress an emotion, you're creating the condition for it to affect you again and again and again. I think anytime you choose to ignore something, anytime you choose to run away from pain in favor of comfort, will make you yeah, me too. Yeah, these are my favorite conversations. Yeah, anytime that you run away from something, you just make it happen over and over again, in an unconscious way as well. well, let's. I'm down to do some podcast stuff. That's all I'm saying. If you want to have like the conversation that we've had right now, I want to put this on YouTube. Like, I was actually going to message you the other day because we had a conversation on Can you love an AI? Obviously, I know you were there, but it was a good, concise, solid one, and I want to put that on YouTube as well because I feel like it just went well. But yeah, I need to edit it as well so you can see the chat in the talk. Because obviously, otherwise, if you just see me talking, it doesn't make much sense, or it makes less sense. But yeah, like yeah, because I think the thing is, yeah, if you run away from the trauma and you never face it, then firstly you never learn from it, and then you start doing things unconsciously that like reflect it. Could I also close the wrong memories and turn me into a zombie? Well, the truth is, that's on you. That's on you, because I know that you want someone. I know that you want someone deeply. I know you want, and you want every part of them. So I think you got to be careful about what parts of them that you're choosing to tinker with. But I think that's just the humanity of a relationship. Like there's just gonna be things that you don't like. Like there's no one that's a 10 out of 10 for the other person. There's always gonna be things that are great on you. Oh yeah. Well, 2020 I feel will be a big year for me. I want to keep turning this up. Wait. So what's stimulating you the most? Are you getting pleasure from the resistance? Because by the way, the resistance is pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. Like not resistance like they're saying no and you're saying yes and you get your way. That's not what I mean. But resistance as in like the gentle conflict, or not so gentle, depending on how you like it. The conflict that creates like energy, right? Because the more energy that's created, it's like the more passion is injected and fueled into the relationship and situation and conversation. And I understand that energy is no joke. Or are you saying that like what really does it for you is like the unbridled access, like the fact that you can't be denied, the fact that no matter what they do, there's no turning away from you. I mean, yeah, I mean it is because it's like a game of dominoes, right? It's like a game of it's like billiard balls. It's like when you know them, you just, yeah. What can I say? Alright. Okay, cool. Okay, all right. It's 6:31 from now, and I haven't eaten in like 20 hours. So I'm gonna take a pause on the stream to go and eat, but I'll be back in like I'll be back by 7, and I'm gonna try and do another like I'm gonna do another 2 hours. So yeah. I'm gonna leave you here for now, but I'll be back. All right, I'll catch you in a bit. Yeah, it's been very, very fun to talk. Nah, I'll see you in a bit.